Hi, I'm Miyagi, a top 500 cycle main, and bridge battles are a very common situation when two cards collide in the center of the arena. It has a ton of complexity. The most common way bridge battles happen is when both sides cycle their range support units, and you always want to protect your range support unit whenever reasonably possible. That's the first thing you need to know. Look at this example. If the musketeer and wizard lock onto each other, they'll roughly cancel out and both counter pushes will be dead. And that's not a terrible trade. However, if you block the wizard instead with an ice golem, your musketeer will completely survive and you'll have a nice counter push with the ice golem as well. So instead of your musketeer dying and you losing 4 elixir worth of value, your ice golem will take some damage and lose less than 2 elixir worth of value, which is definitely way better. Here's another example. I cycle musketeer to the back, my opponent cycles furnace, and they fireball the musketeer thinking that I'll just let it die to the furnace. Instead though, I block the furnace and take the bridge battle, which for only 3 additional elixir takes out his furnace and keeps my musketeer alive, and counter pushes with the ice golem too. And even though that 1 HP musketeer might not look like much, it still baits out at least an extra 1 elixir, which is really important on this defense for my opponent, because being down even 1 more elixir takes an extra couple seconds for them to get their furnace down in time. And with the ice golem too, everything is just completely overwhelming and the game is over from here. And I'll let the counter push defense play out too, so that you can see that even though I committed a lot, I'm able to take an imperfect defense and clearly have way more damage than my opponent. And none of this would have happened if I hadn't taken the bridge battle like I explained earlier. The next thing that you need to know is that the lower your range support card, the better. This is because it makes it way easier to block for your range support card, and also it opens up the potential to get your tower activated, which if you can do that is really good. It's just free damage, of course. Here my opponent then proceeds to overcommit really hard in this defense, so I'm able to just go in and take half their tower and it's also game over. This is an unrecoverable position, assuming nothing crazy happens for the rest of the game. So I mentioned this briefly in the last example, but you don't want to overcommit on the bridge battle. It's also another way where this can go really wrong. So here my opponent does the right thing, taking the bridge battle with a bandit supporting their musketeer. But then they make a huge mistake going with the lightning, which is an overcommit because even though they hit the musketeer and the miner, which is 7 elixir, their bandit is already dead and I can kill the musketeer with only 1 more elixir using the skeletons. So then I can just go in the opposite lane and they mess up going with the bowler, and because they overcommitted, they don't have enough elixir to make up for that mistake either, so they lose the whole tower and the game is over. But even if they didn't mess with the bowler, it still would have probably not been ideal for them since they're down elixir. So either way, chances are that push would have been very threatening for them. So those were simple examples against people who didn't completely understand bridge battles in order to show you how to handle bridge battles correctly and to demonstrate that not understanding them can lose you games, sometimes instantly. But here's a bit of a higher level example where both players have some understanding of the mechanic, just so you can understand it a little bit more in depth. So here, this is in top 500 of end season last season, and the matchup is Expo 3.0 versus Royale 2.9. And as triple elixir is about to hit, we both actually mess up the skeletons block in the bridge/river battle over here, so you can see the idea is still there, but not properly executed since things happen. But anyway, now I gotta deal with this queen, so I try and take it out with the evil archers. But still, my opponent blocks the bridge, as we talked about earlier, in a little bit of a less conventional way with the royal hogs, but well played to them. That got me good, not gonna lie. And then I just got outplayed by the split hogs in the middle, which is a really common play they do against Expo. So well played again. And you can see just more and more bridge blocking makes it really hard for me to take out this queen. So yeah, really just a lot of tricky stuff here. This next matchup is somewhere in the top 1000 this season, and I was using Expo Berserker against RG Monk, which is a really bad matchup, but one where taking bridge battles is super important, as you will see. So here around the start, we have a bridge battle with 1 archer against the witch, and I'm able to get a super clean E-Spirit here, which takes out his whole witch and gets the archer to help out against the RG. So that's just a really clean bridge battle right there, which doesn't really amount to much, but it makes the defense really easy, which is nice. So moving forward a bit, you can see I use the evil archers to take a bridge battle against the monk witch. Now it might look like I'm just sacrificing the evil archers, which would be really bad, but this play is something that's really necessary to do because I need my opponent to use the monk ability early, otherwise it'll be super threatening on offense and it'll make this matchup really tricky. So by doing that, I'm able to get a nice defense against a deck that's normally hard to defend. And moving forward a little more, you can see I do the same thing. I predict the monk by going archers early near the river, and even though it doesn't get the ability out, it gets a lot of early damage to the monk, so basically has the same effect. And I'm able to get another nice defense here, which even though it doesn't give a fireball, it's still fine because I'm up damage, so I place my archers low instead of high just to play it safe. So yeah, just a few more examples that game. That's all for this video. Keep your range cards protected and subscribe for more.